Hello and welcome to Bowder Motorsport. This is the second video, but this is the 10,000 lives in one life video. The video of where I share a testament of my life story through malpractice. And I'll try my best to explain everything, but there'll be images also on screen when time comes for me to put it on there. But I'm someone who was diagnosed with hip dysplasia at a very young age. A rate that in males only get like 0.01%. Only way I got it was in being a firstborn. It's a hard thing to go through knowing that you had that at a young age, but when your 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade year rolls around, in that time frame when you're that young and you start having hip problems, a lot of things can happen very quickly. Besides not having a hip joint there, but when you walk, you have a very painful clicking noise. And through my time in that, I was waiting for growth plates to close. And I had a doctor that I thought was a good doctor. My entire family thought he was a good doctor. But when I took my surgery in 8th grade, because that's when my growth plate closed, he did a job and didn't realize at all that there was a bug called serratia, a very unstudied human virus bug. If it gets on your bones, you're playing a game of life and death. And in my case, it was almost a statistic of me. Anyways, 34 days in with that one mistake of not seeing that bug on said screw that was supposed to fix everything, I had to endure the consequence of what they call in the medical industry malpractice. A portion of, I would call my definition of malpractice, medical operation of equipment, of not knowing what you're doing, I would say. And I was said patient one of his first ever patient that went under the OR of his, saying that he's done many of these surgeries to children, taking their hip sockets and putting them back into place, because mine were born on screen like this. Now, that is not what you want as a young kid. But this is what it looked like after 74 days of the hospital stay of a surgery that went south. That is an absolute train wreck of issues, as you can say. As you can tell, my leg is now shorter on one side, and I have suffered the consequence of said surgery that didn't go well. But you can't sue the medical industry because it's a place where you sign papers stating that if you get a surgery done by them and it does go south, they are not held liable at all by said surgery. Now, with said surgery that I took, 34 days in, my doctor that did that, he quit. He fully quit. I was on a deathbed 34 days in, and that was the time when I had like 5, 6 washouts done to me. What they did with washouts, the brush that you use on a grill? Well, take said brush and said patient and used that brush on the bone to clean it. I now have a nasty scar there ever since then, which caused the issue of that last image, that. I did 14 of those washouts in 74 days after that main surgery. And it affected to the point where my hip socket shifted, and then my bone decided to say, hey, by the way, this joint was never fixed, so we're gonna so-called fix it for you. And it fused on itself, and for 3.5 years till 2021, I had no socket at all there. The only way I could move it was no direction at all. Sitting down was hard, walking was hard, because I had a limp at the time. I still do now. And it caused me to have more health problems. Scoliosis, for one. I now have a 12 to 15-inch degree in my back, my lower back, because of being off for 3.5 years on a fused hip joint that never worked. And when you have a child that went through that amount of pain, it makes you wonder now, years later, as a fully grown adults in their 20s, if I'm just one of the cases that could have been, I don't know, dead, nobody would have known about that. But there are other cases that it does happen. So where do we draw the line as actual human beings and say to the medical industry, are we paying you in tax dollars to teach the students how to actually do the medical, whatever they need to do? Or are they just there to collect a paycheck? Which a lot of doctors, they do sit there and collect a paycheck and that's all they want to do. But there are others that actually do their job and give patients a second chance, which is the one I had up in Emory. They're a great place. I experienced a 12-hour surgery to fix the one surgery that should have never went south when I was in 8th grade. But the people up in Atlanta, Emory, I had a doctor that knew exactly what he was doing. And I really wish I researched my first one, because if I did, I wouldn't be in this predicament right now. But the second doctor that did a surgery on me, he actually knew what he was doing. Absolute great guy, completely honest. And I knew he was completely honest because his statements actually backed up with his patients. And with me, he took my fused hip joint and fully reconstructed it to give me at least 90 degrees back of motion. It didn't fix the length issue because it shifted so bad, and it's something that is really hard to do, trying to shift it back into place after it already was so broken. But I told him, just give me some motion back. And truth to be told, I got motion back. But that doesn't fix the issue that I still go through day to day with. The fact that I have to walk with a limp, without any shoes. If I don't wear a certain prosthetic on my shoe, I limp pretty badly, and it's noticeable. About 1.25 inches off is how bad I limp, because it's that noticeable. But it's something that I really wish I never went under. And that makes me come to the point of saying, how are other patients? What are their stories? How have the medical industry screwed them over? Actually screwed them over with actual facts showing that they did. Because I'm one of the statistics that was almost a big death note. But by the grace of Christ, that didn't happen. But I have a big genuine concern of what is the medical industry really doing with the rest of the patients in this world? Do they actually care? Do they really matter? Or is it just supposed to collect a paycheck? Are they only going to collect a paycheck and that's it? Are they only going to say, take these drugs, you'll be pain-free? Sometimes it works for some people it don't. And then they ask, okay, would you be willing to go underneath surgery? Some people do, some people don't. And for the people that do, they got a 50-50 shot of actually having it fixed. Most of the time it works. Most of the time it does. But to the doctors that screw people up, they have patients that now live with tons worth medical problems and are experiencing the pain that you would get in your elder years of, when you're, I would say 65 and older, at your 20s. You shouldn't be experiencing that pain in your 20s, but yet you are. And that's where I'm generally concerned in saying, where are we going to actually go from here in the medical world? Where are we going to actually say to certain doctors of whatever they do, are you actually telling the truth or not? Because if you're not telling the truth, please be fully forward and say you can't do your job. You need to actually go back to school that will teach you what to do and not have your patient be patient one and just say, let's see how much I learned, and have said patient get screwed up. I want to know what y'all's thoughts are, and everyone else who has experiencing malpractice. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to go through something that you wish that fixed you, but it didn't in the beginning. And even years later, it's not a fully fixed issue. It's not a fully fixed thing saying, hey, I'm 100% better, because I could say I'm at least 60% better than where I was. But I want to know how other people have experienced this, because I know I'm not the only one that has gone through something like this. I know there are people a lot worse than me that have gone through a lot worse than anything I have gone through. And yet somehow these doctors are still collecting paycheck after paycheck just because they're letting those patients be their test dummies just to collect a paycheck, which is absolutely diabolically disgusting. Diabolically disgusting. But this is only episode 1 on my channel for this. I'm not sure what to do with the next ones, because I know this one was hard for me to make because I'm not someone who speaks up. I've never been. But I'm kind of tired of seeing people through my Instagram pages every now and then go through something worse than me. And yet, they're not speaking up about it. I want to at least give some people a voice. Give some people a platform of saying, hey, I don't like what you did to me. I don't like it at all. I really wished you told me the truth. And I really wished you never became a doctor in the first place. And I don't know where to go from here for said medical industry, because I know I'm going to make more videos on this situation, because I'm going to get feedback from people. But I just need to know what y'all thoughts are. How do we go around the loophole of doctors screwing people up? How do we go around the loophole of malpractice, of signing your life away, to an industry making billions upon billions of dollars on patients who are doing a lot worse? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and I'll see you in the next 1,000 Lives in One.